Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We are back in Genesis chapter 10, and I'm just going to go ahead and get right along and start. And we're going to start with the chapter heading. The descendants of Noah are Japheth, whose descendants are Gentiles, Ham, whose descendants include the Canaanites, and Shem, of whom came Peleg. Now we're going to go into verse 1. Now these are the generations of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And unto them were two sons born after the flood. And verse 2. The sons of Japheth, Gomer, and Magog, and Madai, and Javan, and Tubal, and Mesech, and Tiras. Verse 3. And the sons of Gomer, Ashkenaz, and Riphath, and Togarma. And verse 4. And the sons of Javan, Elisha, and Tarshish, Kittim, and Dodanim. In verse 5, by these were the isles of the Gentiles divided in their lands, every one after his tongue, after their families in their nations. Okay, that's interesting. The names divided, the sons of each of these generations divided into their own valleys and lands and places of living after their own names, after their generational names. It's very interesting. And so we're going to go into verse 6. And the sons of Ham, Cush, and Mizraim, and Put, and Canaan. In verse 7. And the sons of Cush, Seba, and Havilah, and Sabta, and Ramah, and Sabteca. And the sons of Ramah, Sheba, and Dedan. And verse 8, and Cush began Nimrod, and he became a mighty one in the earth. Began to be a... Sorry, I tripped up on that one. We're going to read verse 8 again. And Cush begat Nimrod. He began to be a mighty one in the earth. Verse 9, he was a mighty hunter before the Lord. Wherefore it is said, even as Nimrod, the mighty hunter before the Lord. And the beginning of his kingdom, verse 10, was Babel, and Erech, and Akkad, and Calneh in the land of Shinar. Verse 11, out of the land went forth Asher, and builded Nineveh, and the city Rehoboth, and Calah. Verse 12, and Rezin between Nineveh and Calah, the same is a great city. In verse 13, and Mizraim began Ludum, and Ananim, and Lebahim, and Naphtuhim. So it's interesting. There's a lot of names here, but it's actually starting to break down into city names, which is also interesting. But it started out as generational names, which were the cities at the time, which is cool. So it starts with the names, and then it breaks into cities. And we're going to go into verse verse 12. And Rezin begat Nineveh and Calah, the same as a great city. Verse 13. And Mizraim began Ludim, and begat Ludim, and Ananim, and Lehabim, and Naphtuhim. In verse 14. And Pathruzim, and Casluhim, out of whom came Philistim, and Caphtorim. Verse 15. And Canaan begat Sidon, his firstborn, and Heth. Okay, so not all of these are city names, but some of them are, so it's interesting. I could go back and clarify this a little bit. Let me just check it real quick. I don't have to... No, it's okay. Alright. And we're going to go into verse 16. Oh, no, so those were all city names, and then verse 15, it goes to the line of Canaan, begat from Ham. So we're going to do verse 15. And Canaan begat Sidon, his firstborn, and Heth. Verse 16. And Jebusite and the Amorite and the Girgasite, and the Hivite, and the Archite, and the Sinite, and the Arvadite, and the Zemarite, and the Hamathite, and after were the families of Canaanites spread abroad. That's cool. It goes into races of people. Genesis 10 is fun because it's got names for places of dwelling, and then it turns into city names, and then you get into the names of races of people from Ham's descended line. And we're going to go into verse 19. And the border of the Canaanites was from Sidon, as thou comest from Gerar unto Gaza, as thou goest unto Sodom and Gomorrah, and Admah and Zeboim, even unto Lasha. In verse 20, these are the sons of Ham, after their families, after their tongues, in their countries, and in their nations. In verse 21, unto Shem also, the father of all children of Eber, the brother of Japheth, the elder, even to him were children born. In verse 22, the children of Shem, Elam, and Asher, and Arphaxad, and Lud, and Aram. And verse 23, and the children of Aram, Uz, and Hul, and Hul, and Gether, and Mash. Verse 24, and Arphaxad begat Selah, Selah begat Eber. 25, and unto Eber were born 2 sons. The name of one was Peleg, in the days of the earth divided, and his brother's name was Joktan. Verse 26, and Joktan begat Almadad, and Shelep, and Hasmareth, and Jerah. And 27, and Hadaram, and Uzal, and Diklah. Verse 28, and Obal, and Abimael, and Sheba. Verse 29, and Ophir, and Havilah, and Jobab, and all these were the sons of Joktan. And their dwelling was from Mesha, after thou goest unto Sephar, a mount of the east. Verse 31, these are the sons of Shem, after their families, after their tongues, in their lands, after their nations. Verse 32, these are the families of the sons of Noah, after their generations, in their nations, and by these were the nations divided in the earth after the flood. This chapter, we just finished this Genesis chapter 10. This chapter does a good job of summarizing how the generations of Noah spread out and divide in the land by name and by city name and by race. It's interesting that they're what feels like close family, because they're all descendants of Noah, they all separate into their own lands, and then they have their divisions. And I think my opinion on this is that there's just the I like to call it apple doesn't fall far from the tree type of logic, where it's because of the way that their fathers brought them up, and every dad's going to teach their son differently, and so there's going to be differing opinions. But yeah, that was Genesis chapter 10. We're going to head into Genesis chapter 11. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you on the next live stream.